All righty. Have a brand new edition of the Unlikely Agent podcast. I am here with my guests, Janelle and Makenna. How are y'all today?
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate y'all. So for those that do not know, Janelle and Makenna are relatively new additions to the Roland team. Started, I think, was it March this year?
No. End of January.
End of January. Mm-hmm. Wow. Time flies. Yeah. It's been crazy. Tell me a little bit about your experience, just kind of getting going, starting with the team and just everything else.
Experience on the team's been absolutely wonderful, right? Such a breath of fresh air. Being around awesome people, awesome systems, great opportunities. Can't say enough good about it. And the vibe is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. I fit in.
Hey, we love having you. Makenna, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's super fun. I'm constantly learning from everyone. I can always reach out to anybody if I need help with anything. So like she said, it's just a really great environment to be in. And I'm super grateful and happy to be here.
Awesome. I agree. Environment, vibe, culture, super, super important whenever you work. You want to get along. And admittedly, like when you're taught, if the bigger the team gets, ultimately there's going to be people that you may clash with or you don't like so much get along in a working environment setting. But as long as they don't disrupt the culture, that's the main thing, because ultimately maybe we're not going to be best friends. We're not going to, invite them to our birthday parties, but they need to carry their own weight as well. And they got to be, they got to fit the vibe of the team, which is coachable, someone who works hard. And I will say, since you both joined the team, it's been a fresh breath of air because you have raised the standard of just kind of what we're looking for. It's been great. We've never had somebody or both of you coming in and just like kind of crushing it. And you've been doing this how many years now, Janelle?
Ooh, tomorrow's my 19th anniversary.
19. Wow. It's a long time.
Yeah, a long time. Almost as old as Makenna is.
Wow. Makenna, how long have you been doing real estate?
I've been in real estate since January of last year. So about a year and 7 months.
Okay.
And it's been fun. But really, I was 5 years old when she started. So really, it's been since I was 5 almost.
Okay.
Just going to open houses, model homes, everything.
She was my model home girl.
Yeah, I was her door knocker, her farm girl, everything.
Starting early.
My sisters, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you knew pretty early on real estate was going to be the direction, or were you at first wanting to pursue other efforts?
I went to college. I got my degree in criminal justice, and I really wanted to go into law and everything. And I didn't really take the steps in my college career to do that, like internships and everything, because I was more focused on my dance career and everything, like the team, and I just didn't have time. So that kind of got put on the back burner. And when I graduated, it was kind of like I need something quick, and real estate I knew like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
So it was an easy decision.
Do you see yourself doing it for a while, or is it one of those things where just doing it for now because it's easy? Or
no, I think I definitely want to do it for a long time. I eventually want to get into like flipping houses, interior design. That's kind of really what I think my end goal is, just because I like creating new things and seeing beautiful homes and people's ideas. And I don't know, I think it's really cool.
Awesome. And Janelle, what got you into real estate 19 years ago?
Wow. I was an educator and a counselor, and I had a very, very bad principal. Okay. And just my love of teaching just went away. And my husband at the time, my only husband, was a loan officer. Okay. And he's like, why don't you be a realtor? And I was like, no, realtors are salespeople. And it's like opposite ends of the spectrum from an educator, where everybody's educated and everybody does, in sales, you think of crazy, but I needed an out. So I went to real estate school. I studied all summer. I laid in the pool with my flashcards, old school style. Yeah. And I passed the test the first time.
Nice.
And I never looked back. I started in July of 2004 in Phoenix. And that's right before the market went crazy. We had a year of crazy, and I was new, but we had totally different training back then. Yeah. And then the market stopped in 2005. And that's when my learning really began, because I had to learn how to do everything in a difficult market. Yeah. And I believe that's why I can still stand now, that and the training. But that was what led me, and I love it. And I'm very passionate about my career, probably too much. It's probably why I'm still single, because I work a lot. But
I'd say that's also why you're great at what you do, because it's very obvious that you're very passionate about it, and your clients are lucky to have you, and you can tell. And it's just, I think in real estate, you need to have that passion towards, obviously seeing a transaction through when there's so many things that are jeopardizing a transaction, every twist and turn along the way. But not only that, getting the business to begin with, that prospecting, that grind, that consistent phone calls. And you do that. You're constantly, both of you are constantly in your CRM, client relation management tool, and you're just making your calls. And a lot of times, you both know this well, it's like you're spinning your wheels, but you've been doing this long enough. You also know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to kind of just grind through it. And even though you're calling and people are hanging up on you, they're not answering, they're not returning your calls, at the end of the day, if you make X amount of calls, you're likely going to meet X amount of clients, and you're ultimately going to close X amount of deals. And it's just worked for you. And that's why the longevity, it speaks volumes. And you're licensed in Arizona as well, correct?
Correct. Arizona and Nevada.
So what percentage? I'm assuming you do way more business in Nevada than Arizona.
Oh, way more now. It's gone like this.
Okay.
Yeah. I do have a couple of guys that work with me in Arizona.
Okay.
And, I don't market over there anymore other than my calendars that I send out 3 or 4 times a year for the sports teams. Okay. But it's just that broad base of business that I got, not from phone calls. I didn't have to. I marketed. I opened house. We used to farm the neighborhood. I would pay the girls to go put things on the doors with me. And that built the business. And so I was able to walk away. When I first started, it was more Arizona, and now it's like this.
Yeah. Do you prefer one market over the other?
You know what? I love Las Vegas. Yeah. I absolutely love this city. I thought I was a Phoenix Chamber of Commerce representative, but now I love it here. It's beautiful. So, I don't even know what the question was, but the difference totally different. The agents are totally different.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I notice. And sometimes it drives me crazy.
Why are they different? Out of curiosity.
I don't know.
Are they meaner?
Not necessarily meaner, but very in the listing, it'll say, don't call your agent. Don't call me. They don't do that in Arizona.
Really?
It's just different that way. Good or bad, indifferent. Yeah. For me, it drives me crazy because I'm a got to have my phone right here all the time kind of person. But it's just a different market. And the houses are beautiful here. They're very different than Phoenix.
Yeah.
The mountains are different. So everything's situated different. Lots are a lot bigger in Phoenix.
Okay.
Like a lot bigger. A standard lot goes up to 7,500 square foot.
Yeah.
And that's a normal lot.
Yeah.
Here, that would be a big lot,
for
right?
sure. What's the standard? Like 6,900? I think I don't even know.
I don't even know, but a lot of them are 4,500, 6,900, 3,500 in some of the newer communities.
For sure. I may have a theory as far as why the agents are a little bit different from Vegas to Arizona. Vegas is just obviously I don't know if it's as saturated, but in Vegas, it's like we have 16, 17,000 agents. It's just a really popular side hustle. I was telling Jason earlier today, but every bartender, barista, and cabana girl has a real estate license. So I'm thinking that's why they're like, don't call me because I'm pouring drinks,
I'm at the pool.
That's right. Yeah. So maybe I think that might have to do with it because a lot of times, unfortunately, in Vegas, it is a part-time gig for them. And it's not that they don't want you to call them. It's just that they're probably incapable of, responding in a timely fashion because they're doing other things. So that's why it's important who you hire matters and make sure they're a full-time agent.
100% agree with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Makenna, just off topic here, but you are a Raiderette.
I am.
I was driving up here today and I saw you on the, what's Allegiant Stadium? It's just big. It's huge. I'm like, oh my God, that's Makenna. Like, just tell me about that, what that's been like. How long have you been with them? Just everything.
It's kind of unreal. Same thing. We drove here and it just happened to pop up and she was getting a photo and I was like, but it's crazy. I'm with my second season, so I'm a veteran now, what we call it. And coming from a collegiate dance team to like a professional NFL team is like worlds of difference. I always tell people when they ask me, and I say that because college, it's not necessarily supported. It's the dance team. You're just there and we're not funded by the college. So fundraising was my jam, selling 60 t-shirts, football, basketball, it was nuts. And with Raiders, we're supported. The organization is amazing. The owners, they care about us and to to feel that we are cared about and we're passionate about what we do. It's literally a job and we are we're important to them. Like we're part of the games, and Raider Nation, they love the Raiderettes, and it's really cool to be a part of. Like the game days is like so surreal. I don't even know how many people sit in Allegiant Stadium. I have no idea, but it's insane. Like game days are nuts, and they're an all day affair, like 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. whenever we get off the bus. But it's nuts, and it's really fun, and I'm just living my dream, doing what I do, and I've been doing it since I was 3 years old. So it's finally like my last stop. Yeah. Like as an athlete, like most they can continue past college and doing whatever. But like for cheerleaders and dancers, like it kind of just stops at college, and like only a few get to go like past that limit. Yeah. So to be able to do that and I just love doing it. And it's like my safe space. And if I'm having a bad day, I know I can go dance and just get all my frustrations out or whatever. So
that's so
it's
cool.
Really cool. Yeah.
What's that stress level like for a game? Like all those eyeballs on you?
It's nuts, but it's like the adrenaline. Like it's so fun. Like we just rally in the locker room. Like it's really a sisterhood. Like everyone loves everybody, and they just want everyone to have so much fun, and everyone cares about each other, which is also another different thing from college. Like I don't know if it's like the age difference or what, but everyone just loves on each other. And game days, like it's so fun. Like you just go out there, like, and it's like we're the celebrities almost. Like I'm not even the one playing the game, but like people know me. Like they know Raider at Makenna, or like I meet people at events and they're like, "You're my favorite one." And I'm like, "What? You know me out of like the 32? Like I'm no way." But it's really cool. And like just seeing little kids and like little girls, and like it's their dream to be like I thought the same thing when I was 3. I met Sons dancers and I was like, I want to be you. Like, and it's crazy. Like I'm where I wanted to be. So it's really cool.
No, you're definitely a big deal. Like every time I drive by Allegiant Stadium, you're always popping up. I don't know like how many times, how many like screens do they have?
I don't know if it's every 10 minutes or every hour. I have no idea. But like people randomly will text me and they're like, "I just saw you in the stadium." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's still up there." But it's really cool. I have no idea how long it's going to be up there, but
I drove by 3 times the past week. Me and my wife, we went out for a comedy show. On the way back, I saw you were there. On the way up here, I saw it. And a third other time, like, I don't know if it's every 10 minutes. Maybe, I mean, that's coincidental because I saw you all 3. And you're driving by maybe 5 seconds worth, you know?
Yeah.
You're there every time I look up. It's crazy.
It's kind of weird. Like, it's like, they always tell us we have to be like on. So like, if you're out in public, like, maybe look presentable, because you literally have no idea who's going to notice you, because Raider Nation really is like that. Mm-hmm. Like they can pick you out like that. And so it's like, I never know who I'm going to see. And I always have to be like on, but it's really cool because like not every day. It's like you're on the side of the stadium and everyone can just drive past and see you. So it's kind of nuts. Yeah.
How proud are you of that?
Oh, I'm really proud of all of my kids, but not all of them got to be on the bulletin board, but it's cool. Yeah. I get excited every time I get those traffic jams on the 15 going north. And I'm like, "Get out of my way, semis." You know, it's just fun. And I've become a huge Raiders fan.
Oh, yeah.
We fundraised for the Cardinals for years for the dance studio. Nice. But they never were as fun and exciting and good as the Raiders. So.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's just wonderful.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, because you mentioned like during the games, it's an all-day event. So what happens to your clients? Because if you know in real estate, it's 24/7. So what happens? Does anyone cover you? Does mom help out? Like,
so she's my saving grace. Like, it's kind of nice. We've done many, many deals together. So I kind of like introduce her like, "Hey, this is my mom. She's also my mentor. She's amazing. Like, you're in great hands." So we kind of like tag team it. And I do like disclose that I'm a Raider. And normally it's followed up with like, "Oh my gosh." So like they have no problem with it, I don't think. And so obviously game days, I just let them know, "Hey, if you need anything, hit her up." And
that's why we have a team.
100%. Yeah.
Betty's going to be on that speed dial.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. Like, oh, cool. My real estate agent's a Raiderette, and she's got, she's not going to make it here today. She's got a game, but I think that's pretty neat. As long as you tell them up front, like, this is what this is, and I'm not going to be able to be reached on Sundays. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's
it's
really
always
cool.
Followed up with like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool." So they're never like mad about it. Like they're like you said, their realtor's a Raiderette, and so I don't know. It's my other job, I guess.
Yeah. And you mentioned the perks of a team, perks of, working with your mom. What's that been like? Because I mean, I can only imagine probably adds an extra layer of stress sometimes because you don't want to let, your daughter or your mom down. And then sometimes feels like, you're probably stressing them out a bit more. You know what I mean? I could just imagine if my dad was my mentor in a kind of, if I was, a year or two in, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to disappoint him. Is there is there a different level of stress there? What's that like?
I'm just like a stress ball in general. I really just want to please everyone and make sure I'm not the one screwing anything up. Like, that's the last thing I want. I literally will call her up and be like, please tell me I didn't do anything wrong. Make sure like all my ducks are in a row. I think there is a little bit of stress I put on myself, but I don't think if I were to ask her, she'd be like, no, you're doing everything perfectly fine. And I don't know.
No,
I need
McKenna,
to stop wearing myself
Mike
out.
thinks you're doing fine.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, can you make sure I'm not doing anything wrong?
But you're awesome. Yeah,
she's very intense, and I know where she gets it.
Totally.
Because I'm that way too.
Yeah.
But my son he's a licensee also. He doesn't have her passion. He doesn't have my passion. He'll help out, but he'd rather work his marketing job because he loves it and he's doing well. But he's got friends and family and a baby on the way. So he doesn't want to be out showing houses as much as, it doesn't. It's like you have to hustle and you have to be available when other people are not available. So, and that's what, I have friends that don't understand that I have to work.
Yeah.
I can't say, oh, I'm just going to go hang out and have fun with my friends, Mr. Client. Some people do that, but I don't. And it's just not the way I've ever run my business. So. Good or bad or right or wrong, it's just me.
Yeah. If that's what ultimately fulfills you, some people it's just too much for them. It just depends on your personality type and the way that you're wired. I'm similar. If it isn't selling real estate or helping people buy or sell, it's doing something. I need to be in the mix, doing something, some form of production or some sort of interview process, just something, right? If I'm just sitting there, I just feel like I'm wasting my time, wasting my life. But then I have friends that, they're cool weekends, hanging out by the pool and stuff like that. And there's a time and a place for that. Don't get me wrong. I like my vacations. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you want to live an extraordinary life, you have to put out that extraordinary effort, coupled with passion. It's, it's one of those things where, it shows why you're so successful. Which leads me to my next question is because someone like you in particular, I mean, since you've joined the team, I don't know how many transactions, and you joined the team in January. So let's just say half a year under your belt with the rolling team. And how many deals have you closed? I feel like it's close to 20 at this point. I mean, you're just kind of rocking and rolling.
I think I have 24 on the books.
Okay.
And 2 that are still scheduled to close.
For those that don't know, those are monster numbers. And so that almost puts you at like 48. So that's like almost 4 a month. That's extraordinary. A good question that a lot of people are probably asking is too, why not opt to go solo? What's the attraction to being on a team for somebody who, is just capable of doing that type of production? Sure, it might get hit as far as total volume because you're losing some of the team leads. But ultimately, with your book of business, it seems like you would do just fine as a solo agent as well. What's the attraction there?
Well, when I moved here, I knew 2 dance moms. Yeah. And I thought in my innocent, naive mind that they would have all their friends call me to sell houses to them. No, because they all knew 12 agents, right?
Yeah.
So I realized that in Arizona, I didn't have to. And that's what I look at some people. I'm like, why are you on a team when you've lived here all your life and you have all your friends? But, for whatever reason, that's theirs. But mine was, I need leads. Yeah. So I got on a team and I started getting leads. And then I started doing what I do. And it just kept buffalo, what do they say? Mushrooming. And now I love being on a team. I mean, I love the leads. Yes, I'm getting a lot of repeat business already. And it's only been like 4 years.
Yeah.
Right? 18, 19. Yeah. 4 years in August is when I moved here. So that's why I'm on a team. I love the team right now. The culture of the team. Back in Arizona, I'm not on a team. And I wouldn't go on a team back there. I don't need to.
Right.
And, I just think there's a lot of support with it. Yeah. And the more SOI business you have, it doesn't matter if you're on a team or not, you're still selling the house, right? So, and I like having the support. I'm leaving town today for 4 days. Yeah. I know I've got Betty showing one of our clients' houses. Yeah. I need somebody else. They're going to do something because this is the first time, not the very first time, but one of the only times in my career that I'm able to leave and do that because I can trust my team will pick up my step.
Yeah.
And that's such a blessing. I mean, I got my first grandbaby coming.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. And you nailed it too. And a lot of times, people fail to see that. I was speaking with Jason earlier today too, and he was a pretty productive solo agent. Then he decided to go the team route. It just depends, like how much you want to work. Like if you want to be kept busy, and me and you've talked about this, you like to be kept busy. Joining a team makes a lot of sense. Like your SOI, even if you've been doing this a while, it's kind of limited to who you know, who you've transacted with, your friends and family. When you join a team, automatically it opens it up to so many more opportunities. So if you're that type of person, that type of personality that likes to be kept busy, the team is that route. And then, of course, the byproduct, like you mentioned, having people to lean in on. Because, you go and trust me, oh my gosh, I've got horror stories of like, I just want to go on a vacation and just enjoy myself and unplug. And it's virtually impossible if you're a solo agent, especially if you're a busy one. You are going to get blown up. You got to deal with so many fires. And it's just stressful. It's like, can I ever have just me time? So having a team being able to lean in on that is awesome. And you'd mentioned it when you're at games, when you're going out of town. You both are going out of town this weekend, right? Awesome.
Yeah. Sister-in-law's baby shower.
Yeah, very cool. You excited about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so you have Betty helping out, you'd mentioned. Betty's one of our brand new agents. You have been helping her out quite a bit and just kind of taking on your wing, just being, it's nothing that like is a job or anything like, hey, you're a mentor. It's just something that you've been kind enough to do. What's that been like? Let's shine a spotlight on Betty because she's right out of real estate school. I think like she just got licensed, 3 months ago?
Yeah, not long. Yeah. For me, I am willing to pour anything into anyone if they will listen and absorb it like a sponge. Because there is so much value in all of my years of real estate. I remember when I was a newbie and I had all these people who had been in so much longer than I had. And I'm in Phoenix, Arizona and Scottsdale market. And the market went crazy and people started writing out appraisals and all these heavy hitters. And I'm up going, And so there's so much power in experience. And I would give anything to anyone who wants to learn, right? Because learning, these are our future in real estate. And, I am an old school, old timer, and I know there's people in this valley that would agree with me. We've gotten away from some of the stuff that's so important in real estate.
Yeah.
And if you keep doing what has always through the years worked, you will always be a good realtor.
That's right.
You can be this great person on a podcast, and I hope we do great, because it's so fun.
That's right.
But honestly, if I know nothing about relationships and real estate and how to write a contract and how to spell a word correctly, what good am I in? I'm going to put you in the most biggest, not the most biggest, that's bad English, but the biggest purchase you've ever made, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I don't treat that with a lot of respect, so Betty's a sponge.
Yes.
She is a sponge.
Totally.
And, I just love that.
Yeah.
When I was a teacher, I loved teaching the kids who wanted to learn.
Yep.
And my last job as a teacher was as an ESL teacher. And those kids wanted to learn. They were helpless because they couldn't communicate. So they were ready to learn.
Yep.
Not all of them.
That's right. Some of them want it done for them. And that's also, as they grow up, they still have that same kind of mentality. That's why we have the boot camp. That's why we have the first 30 days is rough because you have to earn it. Because if you're that type of person, we usually will find out during that onboarding process if they want everything done for them, if they have zero initiative. Or on the opposite hand, if you have someone like Betty, who's like, give me everything. I want to learn. I want to grow. She is an absolute sponge. And if you got somebody who wants it, I think, yourself and people on the team were more than willing to share that information. It's just frustrating sometimes when you talk to agents where they want it done for them or, they want it just written out for them because they don't have the initiative to do it or they're just lazy. I don't know what it is, but it can be very frustrating. I can imagine in the teaching realm as well. But I mean, that's really cool that you've been mentoring her and just taking on the newer agents as well. So your real estate experience, you said you were a teacher first and then you got into real estate. Was there ever a point where you're just like, I wanted to go back into teaching real estate? Wasn't it for me? Or did you know immediately when you make the transition?
You know what? There were times in my career that I was like, ooh, do I have to do something? Because it's been like crash. Like when the market fell, in 2008, it was when it stopped in 2005 and then it just kept going like this. And then when we had the stock market thing in 2008, I had just lost my mother. I went through my divorce and then my father died. So I'm like, Here's this market. I have 4 kids, but it all worked out. Yeah. I just kept doing what I know how to do.
Yep.
And that's what I would share with anyone is we're not in an easy market now. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's a little dry.
Yep.
And you have to you can't give up if you really want this. And had I ever deviated and gone back to teaching, I would never have fulfilled what I wanted to do in my life.
One thing that you mentioned earlier too is like just like misspelling or certain things. The devil's in the details, and that's something that you're very specific about as far as just like the details matter. And that is something that you nailed on, and I think it's missed quite a bit, especially with newer agents. But like I'll see contracts, I'm sure you all see it all the time, where like the words are misspelled, the it's not punctuated correctly. It just looks like a mess, and it's like, that's all well and good. Like it'll still fly, like it's still an official document. But if I'm on the receiving end, I'm a buyer or seller, and I'm seeing names misspelled, proper punctuation, and I'm buying a $500,000, $800,000. I don't give a shit if it's a $150,000 condo. I'm gonna be a little bit uneasy. I'm like, okay, this person, what else are they slipping on? You know what I mean? So like details definitely matter. And so I appreciate the fact that you kind of, you take that kind of stuff seriously. So no, I wanted to touch on that. Going back to the Raiderette, what does that look like as far as like, has business opportunity? Like, does that kind of bode within the real estate world or where you get business from that?
Yeah. So I actually just sold my coach's mom a house. They're relocating from California because obviously their daughter's here and their grandbaby. So they just wanted to be closer. So that was really cool. It was an awesome opportunity and I'm so grateful. And now it's led to like, now the assistant coach wants to start looking and like the studio director wants to start looking now. And like my teammates, and my teammates are referring me and now parents are starting to like know that I do real estate as well. And people from Oakland want to come here. And so it's like opened a lot of doors. I even met, he's he has like a title company. He's an alumni and I met him at an event. And just like getting to know like, so I can like talk with those guys, not like active players, but like alumni that I meet on events. I can speak with them. And we just kind of got to know each other a little bit and we exchanged information. And like, I don't know what can come from it, but like just to have that connection, like that's what it's all about in this business is just making connections. And so it's brought me a lot of opportunities and I'm so, so grateful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Were you always just dancing? Did you do sports and like growing up?
I did. What did I do? I started like t-ball and that led to softball. I did volleyball. I ran track and field. I actually jumped and I didn't run too much, but I did the high jump and a little bit of basketball because my brother played and my sister played and but I wasn't too good at that one. But dance was ultimately like the one that I was really good at. I did cheerleading in high school and my sophomore year, both my sister and I were on varsity and they kind of made us choose between dance or cheerleading because it was kind of splitting our time between the two. Mm-hmm. So literally we got called into like the principal's office and they were like, we're going to make you decide right now. Like, I bet you mom was on the other end of the phone. Like it was not a good situation, but ultimately I just chose dance. And so did my sister because growing up in the studio, like I said, it's a safe space. My parents got divorced and we were at the studio all the time. So we didn't even have to worry about that. And yeah, like it's family and it's been a journey. Yeah. In the dance community, and I just love it so much. So awesome. I don't mean to get emotional, but it's just something I'm so passionate about. So.
No, it's obvious and it's great. Let me ask you something, because like I always love when like people with athletic backgrounds want to get into real estate. They just seem to transition very well. I think, I have kind of an athletic background as well, and I still feel like the disciplines that I learned as far as just drilling and practicing and just repetition. And sometimes it feels like we talked about spinning your wheels and not getting anywhere, but it's just the drilling and the practicing. Mm-hmm. It creates like some sort of discipline. Do you agree with that? Do you feel like it's helped you kind of get into the real estate world, having an athletic background?
Absolutely. And like my college coach, she was very hard on us, but I look back and I'm so grateful for like, be either here 10 minutes early or you get a consequence. Like it's literally like that. And like if like I were to sit here and tell you my entire college experience, you'd be like, geez, are you in the military or something? Because that's kind of what it was like. Yeah. But like it taught me time management, to just be disciplined. And like if I have to do things like maybe prepare the night before, like just be prepared. And like it's like just coming from that background, it's definitely helped a lot in what I'm doing now. So I just can't be anything but grateful for that experience.
It shows. It definitely shows up. Now, I want to ask you, in your 19 years, what direction do you feel real estate's going? Do you feel like the service is slipping? Is there anything that's just like, it wasn't like this back in the day, like when I started back in the day. Is there anything in particular that just kind of really grinds your gears?
I think the customer service is gone.
Okay.
And good or bad, love it, hate it, like everybody has a team. The lenders have a team and the title company has a team and we have a team.
Yeah.
But I have a transaction coordinator, but I do most of my stuff myself. I'm still, to me, that's so important.
Yeah.
And I get driven crazy. I got sassed at by an escrow officer because I forgot to reply all and didn't email. I said, well, you know what? That's fine. I had to use you this transaction.
Yeah.
Sometimes, having 19 years, sometimes the filter's gone. But you know what, people? We are blessed in this career path. Mm-hmm. To be in real estate or a lender, or in escrow and title. We are blessed because we've had it pretty good for a long time. Mm-hmm. The past year and 4 months has been very difficult because our market just, like we've never seen. Because it's totally different than when it fell. This is not a crash. Before was a crash.
Right.
It is not a crash unless I'm totally off the charts in my beliefs. Yeah. But it's just such a blessing. And the customer service piece gets lost. If I have to deal with, this person opens my escrow, this person does the prelim, this person sends an email, and it's just, how do I know who's doing what?
Right.
And I just had a transaction and it was a smaller transaction money-wise, but a big deal for my client. Yeah. It was her big deal because she moved here from another state. She's older than me, if you can believe it, but I'm just kidding. But the title company screwed it up. Yeah. And we had to wait a Friday or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to close.
Yeah.
And it was all because this hand didn't know what this hand was doing and this place is here and this. And that's what drives me crazy. Yeah. And that's what I feel like we don't have the best reputation.
Yeah.
I am not going to be thought of as a car salesman. And, that was one of my biggest things is I'm not a teacher, I'm in sales. But I really feel like to make realtors more valuable, we have to step up our customer service game.
Totally.
Because now everybody knows your commission because Zillow's decided to publish that.
Yeah.
And I've been questioned a few times. Oh, yeah. And I'm going, cool. Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
It's discounted to you in what you thought I was getting,
right,
isn't
exactly.
it, dude?
Yeah. And they don't know behind the scenes. Like Uncle Sam gets a piece. Like, I got to split this up. You have no idea where the referral came from. There's a bunch of stuff that goes into play, but they just see a number. They're like, they're making all this. Like, I wish I was.
And what other profession does anybody ever say, oh, can I have some, hey, Mr. Doctor, can I have some of your money?
Right. Yeah.
Who does that?
It's a little bit crazy, and it takes, definitely some balls to do that. I'm always flabbergasted because it will happen. And it's like, wow, like, you nailed it. What other industry where you think that would be appropriate? Like, hey, can I get some of that back? Can I get a rebate? Like, you don't say that to a dentist or like an attorney. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, no. I get a discount sometimes, don't I? That cute girl discount.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It works.
I'm familiar. Yeah.
If I have the balls enough to say it, they should give it to me, right?
Yeah. Well, that pretty girl privilege is a real thing. That's very true. I don't enjoy
even
that.
when you're a little older, right?
You still got it. As far as artificial intelligence, because we talked about just like the things that are changing, and obviously within teams, that personal touch is drifting. You see it all the time. There's so many cooks in the kitchen. And now with the rise of artificial intelligence as well, I feel like we're going to just continue to go that direction to where it's like, is there going to be a human involved with the real estate transaction, or do you think we're getting phased out? What's your opinion, both of you?
I don't know. I think AI is just freaky in general. Like, no matter if it's like what you see, like people putting their picture out online and now you have a whole other thing. Like, I think that's freaky. And I think being able to type something or like, hey, type this out, that is so nuts to me. And I don't know, maybe we could, because they're already doing like robots and stuff, taking serving jobs. Yeah. Like, who knows? We could be next. I don't know. I don't have too much to speak on that, but I just think it's freaky in general. I don't know.
Well, you're seeing it with the Hollywood strike right now because they're and rightfully so. I said it before. I think like the authors, the writers, they're going to be hit hardest initially, just because this thing is, ChatGPT. If you say, write me a novel about, I guess just, trying to get their, real estate. Can you say
Just wanting to be a clown.
Yeah, something like that. Anything. And right, don't cancel me. Yeah, I think you could say that. If not, we can edit it out. But like anything, you just punch it in and all of a sudden it will give you a novel. You know what I mean? So it's just like they're getting in front of this saying, I don't want to be just outsourced by this program. And so they're doing their strike. So we'll see. I still think AI has a long way to go as far as understanding certain nuances of human dialect. Because like I use ChatGPT quite a bit to come up with like captions or, help me out with an email piece. And it just seems like it's the same kind of setup, like different words, obviously, but just it's very like, I don't know. It's not engaging content to me. And you can ask and prompt it. Can you make it more engaging? Can you make it more witty? Can you make it more funny? I still sense when I'm reading it, I'm just like, this is so dry. If I was reading this as a consumer, I'd be like, okay, like, so I don't know. I think it's interesting. I do feel that people are ignorant if they're saying, if they think that's how it's going to be, because it's going to get better. Every day it's improving. It's using the data now and growing and learning. I would say within a year, it'll be indistinguishable from like a person would be able, or ChatGPT will be able to write like a legit set for a comedian, which I think is the most nuanced you can get in terms of like understanding just like human interaction. Like comedy, I think, is the last piece. To really understand comedy is like such a level of some sort of like intellect, I think, I don't know if artificial intelligence has it yet, but I think it's on its way. Like, doesn't that terrify you a little bit? Just because
scary.
It makes me want to vomit because I can write better than ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But, I'm old school, and I was reading a listing the other day, and I'll bet it was a ChatGPT. Because it said nothing at all about that particular house.
Yeah.
Only how beautiful it was and by the park. And I'm going, but it helped me out my listing appointment because it was one listed in the same neighborhood. And I said, well, we definitely would want to highlight your house a little differently than this. Yeah. Because while your neighborhood's great, what about your house?
Right.
He loved that one.
Oh, dude, that's the personal touch. That's exactly what separates you from, a team where, and again, you're part of a team, but you are so involved with your transactions and your clients to where, and you mentioned it earlier, somebody who wasn't, because we were talking about that transaction, how it was going sideways, and you were acting like it was a $4 million property, like, it doesn't matter to you, the price point. I think that's so amazing because you talk to agents that'll do 20, 30, you'll talk to agents that do 10 deals and all of a sudden they think they're better than the price point. And I understand that, like, it's percentage based off of the price of the home is really going to determine your commission. But at the end of the day, like, you look beyond that and you look at, I'm going to make this person a homeowner, or this person has a story, this person has a background or a family, and I'm going to help them achieve this huge milestone that a lot of people don't get an opportunity to achieve. So you look beyond the commission. And I've seen that time and time again in the short period that you've been with the team. And I always find that very inspiring because you don't see that often. A lot of times people just chase their commissions.
Yeah. They see the dollars and they do their math and they're like, okay, let's go buy this. And I'll tell you why. 2 reasons. When I first started, we had to have a tagline back in 2004. Hey, you need to I'm like, tagline. So, I threw all these things around and I was like, you know what? So I did the little ... because everyone deserves a home. Yeah. And I believe that to this day, right? Sure. Everyone.
Yeah.
Little Tammy deserved her home just as much as my clients up in Summerlin in their multi-million-dollar home, right? And another thing is, I got beaten out early on in my career at a listing. And I'll never forget the woman. Her name was Connie Golden. She was big on the west side of the valley in Arizona, in Phoenix Valley. And I went to it might have even been one of my first listing appointments. I don't even remember, but I was early on and young and I was all prepared. And, I thought it went great. And then Connie went after me. I didn't know. We were in the same office at the time. And she got the listing. And we ran into each other in the office. I'm like, you got my listing. She goes, honey, you did a great job. And she just, her hand was on, or my hand was here, and she put her hand on mine. She said, you've got to always remember that if you focus on the money, it will never come. Mm-hmm. But if you build the relationship, the money will follow. And what she was telling me was that she had that relationship building skill that I didn't have at the time. Yeah. And the house was probably $150,000. I don't know, some little amount. And, but gas was probably 50 cents a gallon. So it didn't matter. But I never let those 2 things go away from me. Everyone deserves a home. And if you focus on the money, it will never happen. If you build that relationship, it always happens. So that's what's kept me moving through this. And you've probably heard me say it a million times because it's true.
Yeah.
You know, people can smell your commission.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just want that commission. And I try not to talk about price points or anything. Sometimes you have to drop that bomb, you know, just to what up. But, you know, like the Zillow profiles, I had to throw mine out one day at an open house because somebody was comparing it. And I was like, you know, and I don't like to do that because I started young and my experience is what helps me succeed. But, you know, it just, everybody matters. Everybody matters. And the minute you lose sight of that, get out of my industry.
Totally.
I don't want you here. I don't need you here. You don't need to walk into a room and tell people. You can't tell people too much because they can check you out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Quit telling stories, people, because Zillow's right here.
That's right. And it's extremely short-sighted as well. If you're just chasing the money, like you said, the client will be able to tell. And if the client is already like in the thick of it, meaning that they already have, and sometimes, unfortunately, the public doesn't understand what they've gotten themselves into until it might be too late. So like, you know, they get involved. Maybe they were, you know, romanced somehow with like a really charming agent. And then they realized, oh, this person's not really looking out my best interest. This person's chasing a check, but I'm already under contract. And you know, I really want this house. So what's going to happen is, you might see it through and you might get paid. Job well done, pat yourself on the back, go on your vacation. But that client is never going to work with you again. And that client is never going to refer you business again. And we talked about how you bring in a tremendous amount of sphere of influence deals, past clients that love you, that refer you to the moon and back because of the level of love and attention that you give them. And they know it's beyond a commission check. And that's why you're great. And it's a super important quality that I don't know if it's a mindset thing, but it's just some people have it, some people don't. Some people chase the big checks and some people don't. And one other important lesson that you touched on was when you lost on that listing appointment, you took it and you failed forward. You, instead of just sulking and saying, oh yeah, making an excuse, like most people do. Most people will look at failure and to justify in their head, they're just like, well, maybe that, you know, they didn't like me because of this, or maybe it's because of that. The reality was that woman was able to establish a relationship at that point in her career better than you were. And you took that and you were like, I'm going to improve upon that. And now it's a focal point. And that's why, again, another reason why you're a very strong agent, because you learn from that. I think that's a very admirable quality, is to take something, to take failure and to learn on it. And I think a large part in society today, we just, you know, we get knocked down and we stay down. It's really unfortunate.
Right. McKenna and I had a client. It was McKenna's client and we worked them together. And she showed him tons of houses. I showed him tons of houses. Betty picked up. And all of a sudden, he's like, I can't do this. No clue why, right? And McKenna was like, and I'm like, it isn't you. It isn't me. It's him. He said, it's me. And sometimes you just have to say, yeah, I spent 12 hours, $100 worth of gas, whatever. It's business expense.
Yep.
Just move on. He'll never forget what you gave to him.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
We don't like it when that happens.
We can't control it either.
Nope.
Yeah. It's one of those things where
he'll be back. He'll be back.
Totally. If you were able, and that's the thing too, like obviously, man, a lot of times people get burned and they're really quick to dismiss or they'll be rude and they'll just sever a relationship. Like you'd be surprised. Like sometimes we don't know. And a lot of times they're not going to volunteer that information. You might be going through a divorce, might have had death in the family. Financially, maybe just took a beating on a stock that he had a big position on that crashed. There's a lot of things and they're embarrassed to admit it. So they're just going to cop out and say, I changed my mind or whatever. And instead of severing that, and sure, it's a waste of time. And it's like, damn it, I spent so much time, gas and like everything for them just to bounce. Reality is just wish them well like you do, and then they will come back. And they're not only going to come back, but they're going to bring their friends too. Right.
And they if they never come back, it is what it is. You know, you just never know. But wishing them well isn't always easy.
Totally.
Because they really irritate you and make you mad and you want to punch them.
Yeah.
You can't.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
You can't, sadly. But wishing people well, even in our industry, when there's a lot of agents that are just rude and nasty. I mean, it's sad. But, you know, I've been shown a lot this past week and I ran across some agents that were really nice. And I'm like, thank you for being so polite. And they're like, I'm like, you know, but, and then you'll get someone that will call you and say, you didn't turn the light off. I'm like, what? But you know what? If they have time to do that, there's got to be something more to it.
For sure.
And I'm the queen of saying, oh, there's a reason they're doing, am I wrong? Because, you know, I figure we're not inherently horrible people, but everybody's got a life and everybody's walking through something. And since I've been in Vegas, we've had such a great time in real estate and then it got really ugly and people didn't have the money they were used to having. And people get a little carried away with all that money and it's fun and easy and traveling. And, I was promised a trip that I won and I didn't get it. It just went away.
Yeah.
Right?
Where'd it go?
Cabo.
Yeah, right.
Cabo. But that's okay. It wouldn't have probably been any fun anyway. But yeah, and we just have to give people grace, meet them where they're at. I mean, we have so many people now that struggle to qualify, So back to my teaching, I would love to be able to somehow teach people how to have good credit, how to handle your money better, because they don't teach that in school.
Yeah, and they should.
Yeah, now you use debit cards and you don't even write it. I keep check registers.
Yeah. They don't teach you the important stuff in school, like the financing aspect. I think in large part, it's almost a conspiracy, but they purposely withhold financial IQ from the public just because I feel like they want just a limited amount of people understanding this. If we all knew it, wouldn't that kind of bring that value down to where maybe it wouldn't be as profitable for some? I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking if we all knew kind of how to save on tax strategies, right? If we were all doing it, the government doesn't benefit from that. They want our taxes, right?
I would like to learn those, please.
Totally, yeah. But you're on your own if you want. Outside of going to college and getting some sort of financial sort of degree, there's books for it, but you have to go out and seek that information. It's not dropped into your lap like math, history, and science is. So I always wondered, why not? It seems to be a lot more important than, I don't know. Of course, history is important, but I think you should mix in, you know what I mean? Trust me, and then math, and these are all important things, but I don't do a lick of science, personally, but everybody has to balance a checkbook. Everybody has to pay taxes. So it's that's universal. We should all be learning this. And I think if you want to specialize in something like science or math or history, that's there for you as well to really pursue. But I think across as a generalization, I think that we should really explore more financially, subject matter, in my opinion. But that's my soapbox. But I
like it. You're 100% correct in that, because without having a clue, you can't just go to the ATM. I remember when the ATM was first out.
Yeah.
I remember the very first debit card. I went with my friend and I was at Iowa, and she goes, "Look at this card I got," because she was from Des Moines and I was only from Pella. So we didn't have it yet in Pella. And I'm like, "What is that?" She goes, "Look, you put it in and money comes out." And I'm thinking, "Ooh, give me a card."
Yeah, right, serious.
She's like, "It's the best thing since sliced bread."
Yeah.
And that was our first introduction to what we are in now.
Yeah.
Now, the kids just go, not kids, I say that, but people just use their debit cards and don't even have a clue how much money they really have.
Yeah.
And there's some things that are delayed. And so you can look at this balance and go shop. And then, you got to be careful with that. It makes me nuts. But
when I was in college, I was a mess. And, the overdraft kind of setup, I would use my debit card and I never had any money in it, but it would always work. Because the way the overdraft would work, it would ding you $35, but then it would also give you an additional amount that it became credit essentially. And I would just use this. I'd be going to, making I'd be drunk, going to Jack in the Box or whatever, right? These were just $20 purchases.
Yeah.
But it would add up. And then before you knew it, eventually that card got declined. And I'd look, it's yeah, you owe $3,000. And most of it was overdraft. And I didn't know anything. Again, chalk it up to being just a dumbass and partying. But again, nobody taught me anything about credit. I just was I got it somewhere. Maybe my dad's padding my account. I don't know. I didn't know. I was a stupid kid. But yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Lastly, what I would like to know as far as, first with you, being a Raider, at balancing that life along with real estate, where do you see yourself in the next 10, 15, 20 years if you could play it out, the perfect scenario?
Maybe still doing real estate, but interior design, I really just want to do that. Maybe living in another state.
Okay.
Possibly also still doing something with dance, whether that's being a coach or just teaching or doing whatever. But I just think I still need that little time away for just me. So just all my stuff that I'm still currently doing just 10 years from now.
Another state? Is there one in mind?
No, not really. I think I want to try something with all the 4 seasons, because I'm from the desert, Arizona. Yeah. I just want to experience a winter, a fall, see leaves change color. So I don't know if that means East Coast or what, or I'd love Colorado, all those mountains and just nature and whatever it is. I just like being outside, and I think I've kind of discovered that the last few years. So if I can have all of those in one, that's where I'm going to be. But
Nice.
We'll see. I also just maybe close to family, wherever that is, we all end up. So.
Yeah. Things evolve, but that's awesome. Very cool.
Thank you.
What about you? What's your trajectory? Where's your path if you could draw it out?
Well, being a single woman, I that I would like that to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I put that out there, everybody.
Hey.
Just so you know.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, you wake up one day and you're like, oh my God, I've spent all these years taking care of my kids. And now they don't need me like they did.
Yeah.
And thankfully they still want me around and we have a great time together, but it's different. And, I don't want to quit working for a while, but I don't want to work forever.
Yeah.
And I would love to have someone special.
Totally.
But would I want to date a realtor? I don't think so.
That's so funny. Like, I think the same thing. Like,
No.
I mean, these are people that we talk to all the time. So you would think that would be the pool of eligible bachelors that we picked from, but they're freaking crazy. Most real estate agents are psychopaths.
Well, and I need somebody that's a little more calm because I'm like you. I don't want to sit, I can't watch movies. I mean, on my Match profile that I'm putting now, but I used to say, I don't want to go to any movies because I don't like to sit in movies.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like kind of a waste of time.
Yeah.
I can't answer my phone I have though, I've run out, but 10 years, grandbabies, maybe still selling houses in 2 different states once in a while, maybe some residual income from my clientele. I don't know. I mean, that could work, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe having somebody to go hang out with once in a while.
There you go.
I don't want to wait 10 years for that though.
Yeah, I doubt it. And what's interesting is you kind of nailed it as far as like having somebody who's kind of opposite of you, but like completes you. Cause that's a lot of times I think a mistake human beings make. Like we pursue somebody with exact interests. You know what I mean? Like I always say this, like if I married the female counterpart of myself, I would have been divorced like the next day. I'm too intense. Like I'm too like all over the place at times. I like to talk. I need somebody who likes to listen. I need someone to balance me out. Someone's a little bit more patient, a little more kind. And I found that with Molly. But like, again, initially just I made that mistake. Like I was looking for somebody with like, we have to be 100% compatible. Like everything needs to be perfect. Me and Molly like to do a lot of things differently, but it works. And I think it's a smart approach to find somebody that just, instead of like is a replica of you, is just somebody who kind of more is a balance, like the yin and yang.
Yeah, I don't want one who's like me. We would be going all the time.
That's funny. It's true though. And yeah, I don't think it'll last 10 years. I'm excited. I'm excited to meet him whenever that lucky gentleman out there, if you're watching now,
me too.
hit up Janelle.
McKenna
too. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was wonderful having you.
This was so fun. Thank you.
Thank you.